What's going on YouTube? Welcome to the Financial Workout channel. Today we'll be talking about the top money mistakes that people make and how easily you can avoid them. Not having financial goals. Like anything else in life, having goals and actively trying to pursue them is what would set you apart. So if you want to be set apart financially, you should have financial goals as well. You should try to set long-term goals as well as short-term goals. And these short-term goals would be there to help you achieve the long-term goals. For example, let's say your long-term goal is to have $1 million by the age of 40 and right now you're 25. You should know how much money you need at each age between now and 40 so that you're on track to achieve that $1 million milestone. So your short-term goals would be to achieve X amount of money by 27, for example, such that you're on track to get to $1 million by 40. If you're disciplined enough to follow your short-term goals that build on long-term goals, not only would you have enough wealth to achieve your dreams, but having that discipline will set you up for long-term success in other areas of your life as well. The next money mistake people make is not investing as soon as possible. Warren Buffett, the third richest man in the world, started investing at the age of 11 years old. Yes, 11. So it's not too early for you to invest. As soon as you start making some money, it doesn't matter how old you are, just start investing. I see many young people come out of college not knowing what to do with their money. They spend most, if not all of it away. Instead, what they should really try to do is before spending on anything else, put aside some portion of their income to invest. Just like you pay the government before you do anything with your income, pay yourself too by investing it in your future. And if it helps, think of it as an additional tax. Make it a requirement for yourself to pay yourself first. The next one is a big one, and that is not budgeting. Now, I get that budgeting isn't for everyone, but the key here is to be disciplined with your money. The reason I think one should at least try out a budget is to get to know the flow of your money better so that you can properly and more efficiently allocate money where it is needed, like investing. And if you have a stable income and you know what you're getting in every month, it wouldn't hurt knowing what's going out. Now, having a budget doesn't mean you starve yourself and not enjoy your life anymore. It's to optimize your spending and financial habits. What I did and what I think everyone else who's just starting out should do is for the first month, you track your money. See exactly how much you're making and what amount are you spending on different expenses like food, gym, groceries, etc. without any restrictions. After a month, see where you can be most efficient and set some goals to save money. For example, if you spend $500 per month on food, try and see if you can limit that to maybe $450, even $400. Challenge yourself for the next month to try and achieve these goals. If you think they're too hard, you can readjust. If they're not, then you save yourself more money to invest. After a couple of months of doing this, you would know exactly how much you spend, how much you can cut that spending by, and how much you really need to live on. Now, if you want to keep up with this budget, I highly recommend keeping track of your expenses on a continuous basis. You can do this manually or with several apps out there that link your bank or credit card account and automate this process for you. Building a budget is a great way to discipline yourself with your spending habits, not spending more money than you should, and investing what you should be investing ahead of spending. Keeping a credit card balance. This is one of the worst mistakes you can make. I get that some people have absolutely no choice, but try as much as possible to not be in that situation. If you are paying high % interest on credit card balances, fixing that should probably be your first priority. In fact, forget about investing for now and pay down this balance, because for you, this is kind of investing. Or let's say you're paying 20% interest and gaining 10% return on your investment, that's still losing 10%. So it's better to use that money to get rid of that negative 20% return on your credit cards. And for future, make it a habit to not keep any balance and pay everything outstanding on the due date, not just the minimum. Don't spend the money you don't have. Not getting a credit card. Okay, Just because I think credit card interest is bad doesn't mean I dislike credit cards. Look, credit cards are not what's bad here, it's the habits. Once you're responsible enough to pay your bills on time, getting a credit card could actually be a very useful thing. Not only does it help you build credit, which would be very useful when you purchase a house or a car, but it comes with great rewards, like cashback. I use credit card for almost all my spending because I get cashback on it. That is like making an instant return on your money. I get 3 to 5% on food, 3 to 5% on shopping, 5% on groceries, 5% on Uber, Lyft, and other ground travel, 3% on air travel, 2% on everything else. This is free money, so make sure you can take advantage of it. Not taking advantage of tax advantage accounts. Now, I see this a lot in young people who are just starting out of college, and the main reason for that is they don't know what tax advantage accounts there are for them or how they work because they were never educated about it. But there are several accounts like IRA, 401k, HSA, and many more that will help you save a good amount of money in taxes. It's like getting a return of 20 to 30% in many cases, depending on your tax bracket, because you're not paying taxes that you normally would. So you want to make sure you open these accounts. And I would make a detailed video on the most common tax advantage accounts in the future, so make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications if you want to know more. Not having an emergency fund. Having an emergency fund is really important because you should always have something to fall back on in case things go sideways. This fund will allow you to be flexible and you would not be forced to sell your investments at a bad time where you would have to take a loss. Now, this is something you can easily avoid by just having some money aside that you don't touch and let it sit there for a rainy day. Living paycheck to paycheck. Look, living paycheck to paycheck is not living. It's just surviving. It's just getting by. And you don't want to survive in this world, you want to thrive in it. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you need to figure out if you have an income problem or an expense problem. For example, let's say you're earning $100,000 a year but living in a $4,000 a month apartment and can't save money. Well, you certainly have an expense problem and need to find a cheaper place to live in. You can also try to increase your income, and maybe you should be trying that anyway, but in this case, it would be way easier to cut back on your expenses. Not being patient. So many people just try to get rich quick, and in doing that make a lot of mistakes. In my opinion, it would serve you well if you think of it as a marathon rather than a sprint. So you should really try to develop your financial habits and discipline with a longer-term mindset. And what I mean by that is investing in companies for the long term, for example, not just trading them each week or each day, but actually becoming a business owner when you invest in that company. And the last mistake that I'm going to talk about is not learning about personal finances. I definitely see this the most, and is the reason the financial workout was created. In my opinion, the worst mistake you can make is not know or not try to know or learn about your finances. Unfortunately, our schools and parents didn't teach us enough about money. But don't let that be an excuse for you to not learn about money, as learning about it is crucial no matter what your profession is. There are still plenty of resources available for you to learn, including this channel. Look, maybe money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy a lot of freedom and a lot of options for you and your family that could potentially lead to happiness. And you don't have to be rich to know what you need to know and improve your financial situation. You just have to be willing to learn about it and follow the rules. But don't worry, I'll teach you the rules and what you need to know in this channel. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe. And comment down below what money questions do you have that you would like me to address in future videos.